And thanks for coming this evening. I'm excited to be with you. This is our fifth one, our last one for this year. You know that we're in the middle of a Eucharistic revival. But I want to state the obvious. The Eucharistic revival has been going on since the Last Supper. We're continuing that great mission. This is nothing new. It's ever ancient, ever new. It's wonderful. It's the body and blood of Jesus Christ. I'm going to start off with an image tonight for the Eucharist's mission. And it's on the front of the seminary in Baltimore, St. Mary's Seminary and University. There's 6 apostles to the left of Jesus, 6 to the right. And at the front of the seminary is a statue of him pointing out to the world. And it says, "Go and teach all nations." The word "go" is the word I want to focus on today. It's right with the word mission. At the end of every Mass, we hear from the deacon or the priest, "Go and announce the gospel of the Lord. Go in peace. Go in peace, glorifying the Lord by your life." That's the command to sainthood. And it looks different for each of us. But that's the question I want to pose right away for you. At the end of Mass, when you hear "go," what's that mean for you? We receive the Eucharist during the Mass. But it's only about 5 minutes that we cherish him within our hearts, and then we hear that word "go." And we're immediately called to give him away. It's a brilliant lesson. We receive Christ, and immediately we're called to give him away. What's that mean for you? What does that mean for you? You know this, but during the Second Vatican Council, a great document called Lumen Gentium was written. It means a light to the nations. And the vision of that document is that the whole world would be transformed by every Catholic who receives the Eucharist. Meaning the lawyer who receives the Eucharist brings Jesus to the courthouse. The teacher who receives the Eucharist brings Jesus to the classroom. The mother who receives the Eucharist brings Jesus to the home. The firefighter who receives the Eucharist brings Jesus to the fire hall. The banker who receives the Eucharist brings Jesus to the financial world. The athlete who receives the Eucharist brings Jesus to the sporting circus. It's a brilliant image, a brilliant mission, and it's grounded in that great statement from Jesus, "Go and teach all nations." The Second Vatican Council is grounded in that mission. So I'm going to pose the question now a 4th or 5th time for you. When you hear the word "go" at Mass, do we hear it as if our whole life depended on it? As if our eternal salvation hinged on our response to that message? Go. For me as a young priest, it means now to learn a lot about what it means to be a pastor, a priest, a shepherd, but also to be a teacher, at times a writer, at times a chaplain at the school. To learn from parishioners, especially during anointings, to see someone fighting and suffering well, which then sends me on mission to go to other people. It's the same celebrating a funeral and to see a family come together during a difficult moment. And it challenges me to go, to be then with another family and another. But that's what it looks like for a young priest. But for those of you with your respective professions, I challenge you tonight. Is there any change that could be made? That you could bring Christ to the workforce? For those of you who are retired, what might that look like for you now? To bring Christ wherever you're retired. Whatever hobbies you're up to. Whatever family gatherings you're going to. Does the word "go" after receiving the Eucharist mean a conversation with a family member? Someone who you've thought about talking with for a while? but you just haven't done it. It could be a coworker. There's been moments where it's like, I think I can talk about Jesus with that coworker, but I'm not sure. They've kind of mentioned things over time, and I think they're sort of interested. But maybe now at the end of Mass, when you hear the word go, it might mean go to that coworker on Monday and talk about Jesus Christ. That's the great vision of the Second Vatican Council. It's remarkably practical. By the way, it's one of the hardest things to do. It's beautiful to receive the Eucharist during Mass, to go back to the pew, to go back to the presider's chair, and to cherish Him. Lord, enter into my whole being, my mind, my heart, my fears, my worries, my anxieties, my aspirations, my hopes, my dreams. Lord, enter into me entirely. Beautiful. Wow, is it hard then to go out into the world and give Him away? Because Jesus isn't just for us. He's for every single person we encounter. That to me is where the Second Vatican Council draws the line. It says, get across the line and go share Jesus to the world. And I'll state the obvious. We're all well aware, especially in the United States of America, that it appears as if the church is on the decline. That the numbers come out and there's less and less people. Schools are worried about enrollment. Parishes are worried about the amount of parishioners. Seminaries are certainly worried about the amount of seminarians, which means the amount of priests. But just imagine for a moment if every Catholic in the United States this weekend were to reconsider what it means for them to go out to the world. If everybody took it as seriously as the apostles did when Jesus says, go and teach all nations. What if every Catholic were to have that vision of the apostles and of the Second Vatican Council? That I'm entrusted now with something remarkable. That it's actually my mission now to give to someone else what I've just received. As a priest, I'm not a master or a specialist of the medical field. I'm not of the field of education. I'm not in the field of engineering. You know who is though? Those parishioners who are in those fields. They're the ones with creativity, with a touch of enthusiasm, with some joy, with some honesty. They could bring Jesus into those fields and then transform the world. Does that make sense? I'll be honest with you, the first time I heard that was in college, and it completely changed the way I view the church. That we're actually an army, and all of us have special gifts and talents, and we go to our respective fields, and then we fight in those fields. And of course, the great war general is Jesus Christ Himself, who says to every single parishioner, priest, deacon, go, 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 go. And we fight everywhere. But how easy it is to lose hope with this vision. To look around and see the numbers or lack thereof. To lose hope. And to fail to hear the words at the end of Mass. Go. How easy it is. Mind you, how easy it is as well to fall into the American mentality. Let me explain that for a second. I'm not going to bug you. You're not going to bug me. I'm going to have a relationship with Jesus. I'm not going to judge you. You're not going to judge me. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm not going to get in your lane. I'm going to let you do what you do. I'm going to do what I do. But that does not sit well with the great command from Jesus. Go and teach all nations. That does not sit well with the Second Vatican Council, which is the engineers get over to the engineering field and transform it. To the people in finances, get into the financial world and transform it. To the people in education, get into the education field and transform it. To the parents and grandparents, get back to your families, transform them. No room for staying in your lane. No room for that's your business, not mine. God calls us out of ourselves into the lives of others. But it is very difficult for me as a young priest to be all in all the time, because there's tension at times. There's my brokenness, and it often says, hesitate, Ben. Don't do it. Don't go. Pause. Wait. Don't do it. But then I hear those words at the end of Mass. Go. Go. And they're words from Christ in the Gospel. Go. And then I think about how the apostles transformed the whole world. Just 12 of them. I think of Paul transforming all of Europe. And I think about what the 21st century could look like if we took very seriously the words, go. So as we conclude this 5th Eucharist talk, it's not an end, it's not a stop, it's not a pause. It's a green light. It's a challenge from me to you today, and from you to me. We need to go with a reckless abandon, with confidence and with joy. We're all called to a very specific mission that only you can fulfill, and only I can fulfill. That the Lord has called you for a specific purpose at a specific time. How sad it would be if we sat down and didn't accomplish that mission. How sad it would be if we sat back and relaxed. How beautiful it would be, though, to fulfill that great mission, to go. To go on adventure. Because in the end, it's Christ himself who we will encounter in the life of that other person. That's the paradox, and I'll conclude with that. We receive Christ, but we must give him away. And what we find out later is that he increases all the more within us the more we give him away. The Gospels say 30, 60, 100-fold. We call that sainthood. And may God bless us all on this great mission. May we go.